Welcome to What the Health? Where anything health is fair game as we tackle the trends and bust the myths about health and wellness. Here are your hosts, Dr. Dan and Angela Toro.
And welcome to another episode of What the Health. I am Dr. Dan here with my co-host,
Angela. Welcome back, guys. We'll do our disclaimer, even though this one, I don't know if it really applies today, but as always, we're here for informational purposes only, not giving any individualized medical advice. Always talk to your trusted healthcare provider. But again, today's a little bit more...
Well, we're going to talk about how to choose that healthcare provider. So, years ago when I was just starting practice, we created this document on how to choose 5 tips for choosing your chiropractor. And again, we kind of extended that to any health professional because we, realized that it did kind of overlap, the qualities, the values that we were looking at. So I just wanted to kind of review that. These points are at the end of the book that we wrote, designed to heal. But just kind of talk about, because we have a lot of people, outside our area that we can't put our hands on, that they don't travel to our office, but are still looking for good information and how to find that health professional, for themselves. So we're just going to jump right into this in terms of what are we looking for, in terms of choosing the best chiropractor in your area. So point number one that I think you do a great job of, and we do as an office, is that they listen.
Yeah.
We have so many people come in, right, that they just feel like they've not been listened to, whether it's by their medical doctor, another chiropractor, physical therapist. Like they're gone to all these different health professionals, and no one has just really sat down to listen to their problem.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common now, especially in the medical world, because again, doctor schedules are packed. They just don't have the time. And again, we always talk about kind of just that checklist of symptoms they go through, but don't really get to the underlying root of what's going on. And a lot of that sometimes comes from just letting the people talk. And I know people will they'll be like, oh, sorry, you probably didn't need my whole life story. And it's like, well, no, but if that is, sometimes again, it does go back, especially when we're talking about the spine. I mean, things that happened years ago, decades ago, absolutely are relevant. So,
so sometimes, we have to prod for those answers. Like, were you ever in any sports injuries or car accidents, or ever have a bad fall as a child? Oh yeah, my brother pushed me down the steps, or I fell off a trampoline and landed on my head. Or, and it's amazing what people remember, like these pretty significant injuries, and it's like, okay, that makes sense of why I'm seeing that on the X-ray, but. I was listening to a clinical psychologist recently, and he's become a major podcaster. But he said in one of his podcasts that if you just listen to people long enough, let them talk long enough, they'll pretty much come to the correct conclusion themselves on what is going on with them. They might not have a diagnostic name for it, but they'll be able to figure it out. Whether it's a mental emotional manifestation, physical manifestation, spiritual manifestation, or some combination, which that typically is what it is. So really, does your health professional, does your chiropractor listen to you? Give you the time to talk, and they're truly trying to be curious and ask questions about what is going on and really why you're there. Because at the end of the day, you might have an acre of pain. We talk about this all the time. You might have an acre of pain that's bothering you, but it's never the pain alone that is that you're really trying to take care of. It's the fear of what are you not able to do, or what are you in fear of possibly losing if this pain doesn't get resolved. So, and again, a lot of times, if you don't have a third party that can ask the right questions, the appropriate questions to really help you get to the bottom of that, it's hard to do that on your own because we are great at lying to ourselves. Are we not?
It's like, it's fine. Everything's fine.
It's fine,
and I do think that, that listening part too is just it's really the first step in making that connection as well. And, it's just important that people feel comfortable enough to talk, and it's very easy to know if someone's listening to you or not. So you really want to make sure that you're not just talking and they're, somebody's sitting there and
they're typing stuff into a computer without actually, having a conversation and listening and asking questions. So finding that curious healthcare provider, chiropractor that is listening to you is really point number one for choosing, your best chiropractor. So then, once they listen, we move on to point number two, and it's really about education. And we've built our entire practice around this.
That's why we're doing.
That's why we're doing this podcast.
That's why we do what we do.
We want people, and again, it's not that you have to be a PhD or get your Doctor of Chiropractic degree or, get your Master of Science degree, although we do have some patients that absolutely just dive in and love this stuff. But if you don't understand the why behind, what it is that we're trying to accomplish, in chiropractic or, any other intervention, then you really start to lose, the value, or it becomes very superficial, becomes very monotonous. And that's how you can, really fall off your care before getting things actually corrected. So the education process, I think, is important. So that you know why you're there. Yeah. Because the other thing that, we have found is that a lot of people, they may think that our office does one thing, that, they want to come in for a couple visits and just feel better, which we certainly help people do. But, the long term, we want to help. I always tell people this when we're doing our initial 2 visits, is that I want to become the advocate for your 20-year or 30-year future version of yourself. Mm-hmm. Where do you want to be? And again, that's hard for people to fathom, right? We live in the now, or a lot of people live in the past, but it's like, what I want to take care of this pain right now, but okay, well, yes, we'll take care of that, but let's also look at some of these things and what patterns, what poor habits are you doing in your life right now that if we don't take care of, it's like the Titanic heading right into the iceberg. It's like, our office, we can see the iceberg coming. We're trying to give you the warning signal. We're their body, their body. We talk about this in the book. It's like the signals, the alarms, the pains. Yes. Those are the signals that something is going to happen or worse if you don't get it taken care of.
Yes. So, we see it as an irritation or inconvenience, but it's really the body screaming at us, figure this out.
Get this taken care of. So, so the education process, and again, from a chiropractic perspective, we really bring it back to the nervous system because, for better or for worse, most public opinion, and really it's my own profession's, poor public education that we've gotten to this point, but public opinion is chiropractic is good for neck pain, back pain, maybe headaches, and, a couple ancillary things here and there. But it's like, so if you don't have a neck pain or back pain, that's why people always ask, like, well, wait, you see kids? Why would you see kids? They don't have neck pain or back pain. Well, you're right. If I was only treating people for neck pain or back pain, I wouldn't see kids because you're right. Very few of them, less than, 0.5% of them maybe experience that. And it's after, some sort of silly injury. But, the fact of the matter is we are adjusting the spine. Well, the spine is intimately related to the nervous system. Mm-hmm. What does the nervous system control?
Everything.
Absolutely everything in the body. It controls your breathing, your heart rate, your digestion, your liver, toxicity, detoxification, your kidney function, your immune system. And we talk about this in many other podcasts.
Your reproductive system.
Everything is coordinated through your nervous system. So when your spine is moving appropriately and it's structurally aligned, then that nervous system functions way more efficiently. So that's where we take the time to help people understand that. If at the end of all of that, you really don't care and you just want to get out of pain, well, our office might not be the best fit, or maybe it's a fit for a very short period of time. But we always help people understand, like, look, getting out of pain versus actually, stabilizing, strengthening, and gaining long-term, improvement of the spine, those are two very different conversations. Yeah. The short-term getting out of pain versus the long-term structural correction. So, and I understand that a lot of people, hey, they just want to get out of pain, and we can help them do that to the best of our ability, but hey, drink a bottle of Jack Daniels and you'll be out of pain for a short period of time. You'll be in a lot of pain the next day. But, and it's the same thing with pain medication, right? It's like...
That technically makes you not be in pain.
It makes you not be in pain. But, again, the long-term side effects of taking pain medication, we know it's just not good for you. Yep. So it doesn't gain health.
Yes, and whatever's causing your pain is still there. It's not addressing the actual issue at hand, so...
Correct. So that's where that education process comes into play. And, and we're very upfront with people right in our office. And I know many offices are. It's like the first and second visit, we're trying to do, we're listening. We're trying to, hear what's going on and help see if your, issue that you have going on is in fact, a problem that we can help with. And are you the type of person that wants to just resolve that problem, or do you want to resolve that problem and work on strengthening? Do you want to solve that problem, work on strengthening, and get healthy and stay healthy for a lifetime? And that's what we're trying to help understand through listening, and also help you make the best decision, through that education process. Or first and second visit, it's a lot more intense, and we tell people that up front. Like, we're going to dive in. We want to make sure that, we're the right fit, and that, we can actually help you through our process. So if we're talking about the spine and the nervous system, we have to have a way to analyze that, right? We have to have a way to assess that spine and nerve system function. So that's where point number 3 on these tips for choosing your best chiropractor or health professional, but specifically chiropractor, if we have talking about in this conversation, is we analyze. And you've seen that, since you started doing a lot of the, just consultations and getting, talking to people. How often are they coming in and we hear these horror stories of like, I've been to so many other chiropractors, been to so many other healthcare practitioners, and, all they did was they just laid me down on the table and popped and cracked me.
Yeah. No results, no. And that's why a lot of people are often afraid of chiropractors, because they envision that like those real crazy, neck cracking.
Yeah, especially nowadays with all the reels and the videos online. It's just like you get these individuals, and some of them I don't even know if they are chiropractors, but they're just popping and cracking. Yeah. And of course they put the little microphone right up next to the spine or the neck, so you're hearing massive amount of sounds, and it's like, well, what was the analysis done before or after that? Well, how do you know that was the area that needed to be adjusted? And I tell people this all the time. It's like, I can teach a monkey how to make some noise and pop a joint. My kids can, my oldest son now, he can pick me up and, my back might make a noise because it pops or rib pops or something. But, was that the right, the right area at the right time, and actually making a neurological change? Because that's the thing. It's just like with pain medication, medication is designed to stimulate or suppress the nervous system, the functions of the body. Well, an adjustment could just stimulate. You could manipulate the spine and stimulate, like, hey, some pain suppression, but it might not last. Yeah. We had that woman come in the other day, and raving review that she put on Google. She'd been to 7 other chiropractors. This was over a 7-year period. 7 other chiropractors, 2 pain clinics, had multiple injections, surgeries on her knees, and one adjustment in our office because, it was so blatantly obvious. Even you saw the rotation in her pelvis. So it was so blatantly obvious, the rotation in her pelvis. I laid her down on the table, adjusted, and she gets up off the table. She was 90% better by the next day. She slept and has done nothing but continue to improve. Yeah. She played basketball the other day, and she hadn't done that in years. But for her to do that after one adjustment, the power of that comes in the analysis. Yeah. So you have to have a chiropractor that's actually looking at x-rays and knows how to analyze them. Because again, chiropractors are trained to look for pathology, but again, we're trained to look for it in the way of, that's a medical problem. You should go see your medical doctor.
Yeah.
Again, the really, really good ones could diagnose it. But again, we're trained enough to look for red flags and send you off for pathology. But, in the same way that we're very lightly, trained to identify pathology and make sure that it is in fact a chiropractic problem versus a medical problem, and we can refer. Medical doctors are very poorly trained, and actually, unfortunately, a lot of chiropractors are very poorly trained in how to analyze an x-ray for the biomechanical motion and structural position of the spine, and not just, what is ideal, but also what to do if it is in fact rotated. How do you know which direction to adjust in, for which rotation or malposition.
I know that's like why you guys have those seminars several times a year where, again, and continue to go over this and learn and, get better at analyzing and seeing the things. And I know just from, doing the x-rays, and I don't know all, necessarily all the terms, but I could definitely tell. I'm like, oh yeah, that's
jacked up.
That's
right?
not that's not what we're supposed to look like.
We're still working on a bedside manner.
Yeah, right? We're not always so.
Ooh, that's not good.
Yeah, the digital x-rays are nice, but sometimes they.
But we have fun with it. That's not one of our points, but that should be another point.
That should be. I think that's point number 6.
That'll be our bonus.
You should have fun.
The analysis and the x-ray and then the motion x-ray adds a whole other layer to that, because I've had people that have a very beautiful neck curve that you should have, but then as soon as you go to move your head forward or backward or side to side, it doesn't move. And if your neck isn't moving, then again, you're not going to generate the appropriate neurological response to, have good, healthy messaging throughout your whole system. So the analysis is very important, and not just then on the actual structural and biomechanical side, but then also on the nerve functioning side. So, are there some ways that you're looking at nerve function? Again, you can palpate and feel for areas of swelling. A lot of times if someone is very, very sensitive and you hit a spot, they'll flinch or they'll jump. So, that's a neurological response that can say like, hey, something's going on with this area. We specifically use infrared thermal imaging because temperature, we're looking at basically a high profile temperature picture, just like what you would use for, a kiddo to take their temperature across the forehead. And you get their temperature, we're looking at it much more detailed than that, but, we're looking at the skin over the spine, and that skin is innervated, by the nervous system and controlled, by the nervous system, by the opening and closing of blood vessels. So we're looking at temperature patterns and how that's changing. And so, we're constantly, and we do that on every visit, right? Mm-hmm. So we're constantly looking at how is the body adapting and changing visit to visit. Because if we're giving the same adjustment, if you're going to someone and they're doing the same thing every time you go in, well, your body is not changing. You're not in a state of adaptation. You're actually in a state of rigidness where you're maladaptive. You're not adapting. And if you're not adapting, if you're doing the exact same thing every time you come in, well, that's like, to me, that's, kind of like popping a medication every day for the rest of your life. Like, medication has a time and a place, and, I think it should, I think medication works best in the short term, right? Yeah. To get over a specific health challenge or get it under control long enough to allow your body to heal itself, which is what it's designed to do. But this idea that you're going to go in and do the same adjustment twice a week or once a week for the rest of your life, like, if that's what you're doing, like, I don't think that's putting your body in a very good adaptive state. Yeah. So, but again, if you don't have the analysis, like, it's easy to lay someone down and, click, pop, crack and, hey, you're on your way. Yep. But are you actually, listening and trying to, listening and analyzing and show that you are getting the results, which is point number 4.
I was waiting for you to just
this is point number 4.
Right into it.
So are you getting the results? And again, going back to the point number 1 about listening, this is not just about getting results of getting you out of pain, right? Yeah. We always say, I've got 4 goals for my patients if they walk in. Number 1, I want them to feel better. Number 2 talks about prevention. I want to prevent the current problem from getting worse. I want to prevent other problems that could be related to nervous system stress that could show up down the road. I want to prevent those from happening. Number 3 is I want to reverse the effects of the aging process. And that's where I talk about, look, I've got some people who come in their 30s, right? And they feel like they're in their 40s or 50s, or 90s. Okay. So it's not that we can reverse your actual age, but we have a lot of people who start to change their lifestyle. They start to get adjusted and get their nervous system under control. And so now, a year or 2 down the road, they actually feel a decade younger rather than a decade older. So that's the idea of reversing the effects of the aging process. And then ultimately, all 3 of those lead to point number 4 is we want you to live your best quality of life.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. Quality of life is way more important than quantity of life, in my opinion. But if you have a great quality of life, it's great to live a great quantity of life. But no one wants to live more quantity if they have crappy
can't do the things,
quality.
Yeah, they can't do the things they want to do.
Yeah. So being able to get results is not just about getting you out of pain, but we can actually show changes because we're analyzing and we're analyzing regularly. Then we can actually show the before and after changes of structural correction. And you see this in the office. How often do I say I see a rotation on a pelvis or a lumbar, and I say I'm going to take them out, I'm going to adjust them, set up for the post, and you go and you do the post, and then we're seeing a 20, 30, 50% change in that structural alignment after that one adjustment.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to maintain because muscles, tendons, ligaments have all developed a tension
they're not going to
around the misalignment. However, because we continue to analyze, then we can continue to monitor how the body is strengthening and adapting over time. So
and same thing with the thermal scan. I mean, we always do that before every adjustment, but then if somebody comes in with a kind of crazy scan, we'll do it again after the adjustment to again make sure that whatever it cleared out.
We're seeing immediate neurological change. That's something. So the adjustment we just did made an actual change in the body, and then again we do it on the next visit to see. Is the old one, is the poor nerve function coming back, or are they continuing their state of adaptation? And then again, that's what I ask patients all the time this. If I do a thermal scan, which is measuring nerve function, and I adjust you, and that nervous system changes, and now you come in a couple days later, and that thermal scan looks completely different from what it was a couple days ago. Does it make any sense for me to do the exact same adjustment I just did? 100% of the time, they're like, no.
Yeah.
Because your body is in a state of adaptation. So I better be doing something different to facilitate that adaptation. Because if I don't, then I could send you right back into your maladaptive, your poor adaptive state. And again, if you're not analyzing that, then it's hard to get those results. BJ Palmer, the developer of chiropractic, was asked, what do you attribute your success? And he simply responded, results. And again, it's not just the fact that people were symptomatically changing, which that's always good. One of the hardest conversations is when I'm seeing objective changes. I'm seeing changes on X-ray. I'm seeing changes on thermal scans, but they are not symptomatically feeling better. But that's why, that's part of the big reason I hired you, because I know that there are other factors, once we get the nervous system functioning better, or to help facilitate improvement of nerve function, they need to be, maybe making some habit changes in what they're eating, and we've developed a whole program around, helping to, understand sugars in your foods and how to change that and what type of exercise for different conditions and how to do the exercises, right? Because how much time do you spend with people just doing exercises appropriately?
That's core. Like everyone thinks that they do that they're working their core, but the percentage of people that are actually doing core exercises correctly is terrible. So and it's as soon and I love because you can see on as soon as it clicks with someone, they're like, oh, I'm that's what it's supposed to feel like to engage your core. And I can sit there and do crunches all day long. If I'm not actually activating my core, it's not really doing anything. It's very superficial. So that's where, again, that getting people to really understand, same thing with we talk, we had that whole podcast on FBS, flat butt syndrome. Yeah. We have a lot of people you had me work with glute activation. And so people think they start doing leg kickbacks and they're like, I'm like, do you actually feel your glute engaged? No,
because they're just kind of using they're using all the accessory muscles and they're not actually activating. And you can see it when someone lays down on the table; their ass is completely flat, and it's like
okay, we got to
activate this a little bit more. We got to get and again, we don't have to get the booty of Beyonce.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Some women wouldn't mind that, but it's like. We got to activate your glutes appropriately, and that's all muscles. Yep. Because whether you're stretching or activating the muscle, you should be able to feel it a certain way. Yes. And that's where you can't get that from a video, right? We have a lot of videos that we use and we send to people, but you meet with people, and this goes back to the, again, the listening and the educating.
And the analyzing.
Yeah, because you're actually going through, do you feel it here? No.
Oh, I can see it on their face if they're doing things correctly. I'm like...
And it's incredible because by doing that, it just amplifies the results that much more. And especially the symptomatic results, because again, it's like the body can get stuck, and it can get stuck in this hard wiring of okay, I've been in pain so long, my muscles and ligaments, tendons, they're just set to a certain tension, and I can clear them out with the adjusting, but then until you get in there and do some of the targeted stretching, it's like, oh my gosh, it's a night and day difference. And then again, they feel more empowered that they have control over their health and well-being, so they don't feel like they have to come into their chiropractor once a week for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
I think that's ludicrous. I think that some people may need that, depending on their lifestyle, especially those who go to the gym every weekend.
I was going to say, I need my...
beat a bag
and get hit in the face. Kicked in the ribs. I need my weekly adjustments.
There are certain athletes and certain
if
lifestyles.
Mike just stopped kicking me in the ribs, Michael.
There are certain people, there are certain lifestyles, athletics specifically, especially high impact athletics, that may need that check and adjustment regularly.
But the average person should be able to go longer periods.
Yes.
The average healthy, let's put it that way.
Person,
maybe I shouldn't say the average person, but
that's also another podcast.
Yes. Do you want to be the average American?
No, thank you.
A healthy individual should be able to go, much longer. If they're getting the correct...
facilitate your healing, your adjustment, your alignment. And again, that's where the analysis comes into play, because, if someone comes in and their scans are looking really good, they're feeling really good, then it doesn't make sense to go in there and start, manipulating things you better lay off.
Yeah, well, especially with kids, there's plenty of times you'll scan them.
No adjustment.
You look good.
And my mentor, Dr. Jimmy, he hammers that into our heads. It's like, be the lazy chiropractor. Because again, it's like, and this was something that Dr. Pierce, and for those of you who don't know, we practice the Pierce Results System, and Dr. Pierce was famous for asking the question, what's the difference between a car accident where a 6,000-pound car, comes to a complete stop and a 15-pound head gets whipped? What's the difference between that impact and a 185-pound chiropractor banging on the exact same bone in the exact same direction for 3 times a week, 2 times a week, 1 time a week for years on end? What's the difference? And his point was, if we talk about the intelligence of the body and the intimate connection between the spine and the nervous system, then we better have the humility to say that we could F it up if you're not analyzing appropriately.
Yeah.
And he was adamant about that. And again, that is where sometimes it is just better to lay off or go and recheck something before you start, manipulating, putting your hands on people. And again, I use it, I'm using the term manipulation in a very different context than the adjustment, because I think the adjustment should be held in very, very high regard. Again, Dr. Pierce used to compare, the adjustment with neurosurgery. Like, if you believe that you can, do an adjustment, get the spine moving and aligned better, and you are going to change nerve system function, that's like going in and doing neurosurgery. Yeah. So you better be doing it at the right time, at the right location, in the right direction, and you better have a way of measuring it. Mm-hmm. And if you did it wrong, you better go back and be able to correct it. Yep. So again, that's the results portion of it, of being able to pre-post scan day in and day out and show people that there's objective changes in their body. And again, the grand slam is, if they're getting the objective changes and then that matches, hey, my symptoms are massively improving. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, as the side benefits,
I'm sleeping better, I have more energy,
pooping better, I'm making better choices, I have better mental clarity, I'm making better relational connections, and we see all that.
Oh yeah,
we see it day in and day out.
We were just talking about this. We literally watch people's personalities change and people open up and just kind of even like just look and feel lighter and walking in the door. It's just it's a massive massive change for people, especially people that have been in chronic pain, because that absolutely affects your mood. I mean, I dealt with that I walked around for 6 years dealing with chronic back pain. I mean, it makes
she was a real bitch.
He's been waiting for an opportunity to say that on one of these.
That's going to be a soundbite. I think I've used my quota of swear words.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's, I think that was just as a brother, not as a healthcare professional.
You're welcome. That's where the disclaimer comes into play.
But work for your brother, they say. It would be fun. No, we do have fun.
Yes. But hopefully you can tell that we are also very passionate about this, just based on the conversation. And, again, Angela walked in, she wasn't in the best mood today.
I wasn't. And honestly, again, talking a little bit about, before we started recording, we were kind of talking about, short-term and long-term visions for the office, and just, again, have that it reminds, it's a good reminder of, okay, this is our purpose. I mean, you guys joked since I was in undergrad that, you're going to come with us. And I'm like, yeah, right. I'm like, never. And then
Aaron knew.
Yeah. And it just, it all aligned.
It all aligned.
It all aligned.
Well, and I think the one, so people are like, well, how do you measure passion? And again, I think innately most people know. Like, so many people walk into our office and they're like, I just feel better sitting in here. Like, it's just a family friendly, it's just, you got a good vibe, right? Yeah. You just, you just feel...
You can feel energy.
You can feel the energy just sitting in the office. It's a place of healing. It's a place of fun. It's a place of... welcoming and just, kind-hearted individuals that we're just trying to help people get healthy and stay healthy. And we're just, we're so passionate about it. And again, like you said, I don't think either of us had the energy doing this in the morning. And we were like ready to go. But it's like, as soon as we start, it's like, boom, it just comes spilling out. And I remember listening to another mentor of mine on a podcast years ago, and he said, you can always tell the energy of an office. Like, if you start with a certain number of individuals on your schedule, if that number stays about the same throughout the day, you're doing, you're pretty level-headed, you're doing pretty well. If that number starts to dip and, people start calling in, canceling, missed appointments happen, your energy's off.
Oh, yeah.
And you need your mindset, you better get your mindset right. In the same respect, I mean, we were rocking yesterday. We had a certain number, and it's like it increased like 15% as the day went on. I'm like, where are all these people coming from?
I was like, they just get walking in the door. I'm like, all right, come on.
So and again, you can feel, as an individual, you can feel those vibes. You can feel when someone's passionate about what they do. And again, if you ever walk in any healthcare professional's office and you don't get the vibe that they have passion, or they're, again, they're just, kind of going through the motions, and but they're a corpse. It's like, well, get out of there. If this is your health. We say that all the time. You need to be the best health advocate for yourself. So it's like, if you're in an office and you just don't feel, I still don't understand that people talk about their primary care provider that they don't like or they don't listen to. It's like, why are you even going to them? It's like, you get into these patterns, right? And we're habit-based beings, right? We're routine animals, routine individuals. So it's like, we get into these habits and we just keep doing it, and then we don't ask questions about it because we don't want to change. And it's like, change is one of the necessary things that will always happen. Get a sense of, is your chiropractor, is your health professional, do they have passion? And again, you'll know that based on, how you feel in their presence. Is your energy higher or lower after you talk to them? And, it's a pretty good indication. So, and then we have fun. We're going to add that one.
I think we're definitely going to add that.
Yeah. So if you're not having fun, if you're not laughing,
what's the point?
What's the point? What's the point?
Honestly, we have a good time. We do have a good time.
So, but as always, and again, I think we do this, for the education. We do this to have fun, but we also, if you have any questions or if any of this resonated with you, or you are not in the, southwestern Pennsylvania region, the greater Pittsburgh region, and you're looking for someone who could help you, whether it's a chiropractor or other health professional, we continue to grow our network of individuals, health practitioners across the nation, that, if you're just looking for help finding that person, reach out to us and we'll see if we can help you. Or we'll do everything we can to help you find that person in your area. So, but yeah, that's the 5+1 tips for choosing your chiropractor or other health professional. And hopefully that was helpful, and we'll see you at the next one.
Yes, we'll see you next time. Have a good one, guys.
You've been listening to What the Health with Dr. Dan and Angela Toro, brought to you by Toro Family Chiropractic. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.whatthehealth.world.